Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. Today is like Christmas Day. It's a day where something fun comes in the mail and something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I think we're going to look at it together for the first time. We'll set the paddle up a little bit at the end of this, and I'll show you what I do and how I set my paddle up so that it suits my playability. And today we are going to talk about the SixZero Pickleball Ruby. Here we go. Get on the right side. As you can see, it comes with a really nifty paddle cover, which is nice when you're carrying 6 or 8 paddles like I typically do, and they bang around in your bag with all the different equipment that you're carrying around. And this paddle is the first of its kind with a Kevlar face. It is a woven fiber Kevlar face, and I will say that what initially attracted me to this paddle is that I was playing with the, here we go, I was playing with the Selkirk Power Air, which I think is a fantastic paddle. The problem with this paddle is that it has a spray-on texture on the outside, and it wears off extremely fast if you're playing like I am 3-4 times a week, and you like to hit the ball really hard. So I was looking for something that's a bit more durable. I am not a person who gets given paddles, and I've been buying everything that I've been using. And so for a $250 paddle, even if you're getting 20% off, to pay $200 every 2 to 4 weeks to stay competitive with your friends just doesn't sound good to me. So I was like, what is out there that might be more durable? I heard about this Kevlar face, and SixZero comes to the rescue. And essentially, with this Kevlar face, my hope was that the grit stayed longer, that the playability of the paddle, it's a honeycomb core, it is a thermoform paddle, and with all of these things combined, I'm going to get the pop that I want because I like to hit the ball hard first. I mean, I'm driving 70% of my thirds, maybe 60%, depending on how well I'm hitting them that day. And so I want it to create something there where I can have an easy 5th or an easier 7th as we try to get to the kitchen line. And I need spin on my paddle. I learned that very quickly. I was at a Arlington Iron Paddles pop-up one morning. My Power Air was broken, and I did not have a backup paddle other than my old Gamma 505 here. This guy has a 0 grit to it. It is a Gen 1 paddle, graphite face. I mean, for the time, I thought it was a great paddle and it was great for resets. But after I've gotten used to playing with a little bit of grit on my paddle, excuse me, I played with that and just couldn't. The ball was sliding. I was hitting all my drives into the net. It was a really miserable experience. In comes Dylan with one of these 6-0s. He says, try this. I hit it, played lights out the rest of the day with it, bought it from him that day. And here's what I wanted to talk to you guys about is after 6 weeks, I wanted to really give it the test. And I will show you the paddle that I'm currently playing with. So this is the original one. And if you look really close, you'll see that it does have some little, what would you call them? Deformalities, I guess, and a little bit of wear on the face, but the grit is still, for the most part, there, as you can hear, all over the paddle. It hasn't compromised in the core whatsoever, and I have been just overwhelmed with how good this paddle is. So let's talk the specs of the paddle. The length is 16.3 inches from handle to tip. The width is 7.5 inches at the throat and 7.7 inches at the head. So you'll see that it gets a little bit wider as it goes out, and I think that increases the swing weight, would be my guess on it. But I'll tell you that this is one of the faster paddles that I've played with at the kitchen line. So I really like the shape. You still get that elongated bit, but you don't get quite as much as the most traditional elongated paddle. The grip circumference is 4¼ inches. The grip length is 5.5, so it's plenty big for my two-hander that I've been working on. Not there yet, but it's something that I think everybody should have. And the average weight of these guys is going to be around 8.2 ounces with a plus minus of 0.3. The first one I got, I will say, came in around 881 out of the pack, and I loved it there because I like to add a little lead weight to it. And again, I don't want it to be too heavy. The swing weight was 117, which is not the lightest that are out on the market, but definitely one of the lightest. So it's in the probably lower 30% of swing weights out there. And the twist weight is 6.76, and that basically just means how big is the sweet spot on the paddle. When it hits on the side, is the paddle going to twist a whole lot? And if you add lead weight, that helps with it as well, which I do. So one of the things that I liked about this paddle is the dwell time on the face of the paddle. It is a 16 millimeter, so it's going to have some control to it. And that's what I was looking for, really, is a paddle that is going to have that initial pop, but when you're at the kitchen line and you really want to shape those rolls, they'll have a bit of dwell time on the Kevlar face. So the first thing that I do when I set up my paddle is I break out my handy dandy weighing machine. And this thing's pretty cool. I think you can get it at most kitchen stores. That's where we got ours. It's basically for baking, but I use it for my pickleball paddles. You put it onto the table, you turn it on, it's going to even itself out, so it's showing 0 now. And I'm going to actually take, so you'll see it comes with a little rubber band. I'm going to take that off. And then let's weigh it and see where it came in. So this one came in at 8.21 ounces, so right into the specs of what they were saying on the website. At this point, I will then put this guy away and put on one overwrap. The one that I like is the Wilson perforated for feel. So you'll get your overwrap out, and I like to unwind the whole thing. At the end of the wrap, if you've never done this before, you'll see that there is a little tab there. That is a sticky. And at that point, you are going to put that sticky right on the top end of your paddle. So pull that off. Put this right on the top of the paddle here. And then I always go right to left when I do my wrap. But before you wrap it, you must peel off the little plastic coating, which I like to do last thing before I make my wrap. And then at this point, I like the perforated one because it gives you a line with the little dots. I try to just gradually follow this line down the paddle so that I get about a 1/4 inch separation between the wraps. And there you go. So we've got our paddle wrapped. As you can see, I'm about a 1/4 inch apart all the way down. Didn't dramatically change the shape of the handle. Didn't really do much other than I just like the feel of this particular grip. And to put it over, I like just a little bit of extra width there as well. At this point, you're going to always put the paddle down, and we need to put the sticker on the end to keep it all there. So first thing, you peel off this side. I like to take these two things because you can wrestle with them, but no need. You just push them in. Makes it super easy. And then at that point, I will put it right back on the paddle. Got it wrapped the way that I want, and then I'll put the sticky side here. All you have to do at that point is then peel this part off. Lays out very nice for you. And then you wrap it around the paddle. There we go. And so we've got a nice wrap on it. I don't even cut the little piece off because after you play with it a couple of times, that's stuck down and it doesn't really bother me one bit. So now we need to weight it up just a little bit. The way that I do mine is I use this Golfworks lead tape. I like this because you get a whole roll for about the same price as you'll get the pre-cut ones. I think you get 8 of them for 15 bucks or 20 bucks. It's kind of outrageous, but you can get a whole roll for around $15. And then at that point, you'll have enough to do 10, 12 paddles with this particular roll. Once I get the tape out, I then measure the length of what I want. I want it to be about an inch above where the handle connects to the actual paddle face. And then I want it to go up to maybe 7 o'clock on the left side and 4 o'clock on the other side. So we're going to stop it around right here on the paddle. So I've got my mark here. Take my scissors and I will cut it. And then the next one's super easy because all I do there is lay this one on top of it and boom, we've got 2 identical strips. I know, I'm a genius. I get it. As you can see, I'm going to start just a little above, about an inch above, maybe a little less, the actual handle. And I'm trying to put this right in the center of the paddle and just have it go all the way up the side. All right, so I've got it right on where I want to be. Start at the bottom, press it flat all the way up to the top, right in the center. And as you can see, we've got it on this side. We've got it on this side, and we have a paddle that is now ready to play with. So here's my overall take on the Ruby. After playing with it for the past 6 weeks, I will say that it is the best all-around paddle on the market that I have played with. The reason that I say that is that it has durability. The Kevlar face does not seem to wear down as quickly as the T700 carbon fiber. The second reason that I really love this paddle is that the core doesn't separate and it seems to be very consistent over a long period of time. And I know many paddles have had issues with that in the past. The third is the grit on the paddle. The grit lasts and it's still holding the ball and helping me to get the spin that I need to win the points. And the final reason is the dwell time of the paddle. I love the 16 millimeter paddles. I've played with 11, I've played with 14. The 16 millimeter seems to suit my play the best. And thanks guys, hope to see you on the court.